Can we just say that the NFL is straight up crazy for scheduling a game with the Jets hosting a team from New York tonight? Holy cow. It's nasty, nasty out here, y'all. Get ready. Buckle up. We're about to have a whole lot of fun. You know it's going to be crazy in here, too. A lot of new stuff with our new night and new time set up for Aquarian Anarchy, but we're going to do some old things just like we always do. This quote tonight is from H.L. Mencken. The whole aim of practical politics is to keep the populace alarmed and hence clamorous to be led to safety by an endless series of hobgoblins, most of them imaginary. And with that, it is Aquarian Anarchy, and it is what do we call this? Falsified Flagellation Day or something like that. It's
did you say falsified flagellation as in false shit?
Flagellation. Like where you abuse yourself, where you get abused. Yeah. So listen. So let's just do it right off the jump, because we don't want to be disrespectful or anything like that. Let's just say, as this gentleman said, RIP to the 2,996 Americans who died that day, and also RIP to the 1,455,590 innocent Muslims who died during the U.S. invasion for something they didn't do. Because we, I don't know, there seems to be a lot of, and that dude, from what I understand, that dude was catching hell for posting that. All kind of neocons were jumping all over him in his mentions because you can't say like, hey, we should probably not murder a bunch of people for some stuff.
What? Like they didn't.
That was like, sorry, we killed innocent people, but fuck you for saying sorry for killing innocent people.
Yep. So what's funny is this all came about completely by accident. Unlike that other thing.
That happened this day.
Carefully planned.
A long time ago.
This was all by accident. We were going through it a few weeks ago. Marcus and Nicco and I were kind of trying to figure out where we were going to go with the show. It's been 3.5 years, and our schedules were getting busy. Things were getting hectic. We were like, all right, what are we going to do? Wednesdays are just tough, blah, blah, blah. So we scheduled a meeting, got together. We decided we're going to start doing Monday nights instead of Wednesday nights. We've done Tuesdays. We've done Wednesdays. I think we did Sundays for a while. Now we're on Mondays. We're like a really good series that just won't quit on network TV. We have to keep moving our day around to get a better day. So now we're going in, almost head to head with Monday Night Football. So we call this the Monday Night Free for All now. And what was funny about it was, while we're going through it, trying to figure out how we're going to conduct the show going forward and what type of segments and everything we're going to do, we went ahead and decided that we weren't going to do it Labor Day weekend, because that was, it was Labor Day. And so we wanted to enjoy the day off and do all that stuff. I'm trying to post the show live so we can get some more of our fans in here. But anyway, so we decided to put it off to today as the start date. And then we realized what day it was. We were like, well, this is perfect. I was like, I have just the thing. I know what we're going to do. We are going to play this video, and we're going to make the theme of this show this particular incident that happened way back when, during that day, during that year. This is the play that not just effectively eventually ended Drew Bledsoe's career, but this is the play that kicked off the career of not just Tom Brady as one of the best, if not the best quarterback of all time, but we had an Iraq and Afghanistan invasion that lasted almost as long as Tom Brady's career. Here we go. This is Drew Bledsoe playing against who? The Jets. This is a CBS game. It wasn't a Monday Night Football game, but they're playing against the Jets. And the Patriots Here he goes. Boom. Doesn't look like much, but he lost like a pint of blood, like had like a collapsed lung, like broken rib, all kind of stuff happened to him. Anyway, so that's the play right there. When a patriot wearing the number 11, got hit by 2 jets and was never quite the same, and launched a career-long campaign by
a whole bunch of money was lost.
Another guy who just
a whole bunch of money was lost.
Yeah.
A whole bunch.
Anyway,
lots more. Cynthia was mad.
Oh my gosh, Cynthia McKinney! Shout out to Cynthia McKinney.
Oh, rum. He drinks a bunch of rum. Ford, Field, something like that.
Yeah. He felt his rum. Yes, that's right.
Right.
But yeah, so anyway, so what we wanted to do, what's up, Hotep Dutch, and what's up, Jimmy? What we wanted to do is we wanted to kind of open it up to the audience because of, it's that day today. We wanted to open up the audience. We wanted to say, like, all right, this is one of the segments that we decided we were going to start doing as we go forward with this show. It's a top 5 segment. So let's go. What are your top 5?
Top five.
Whether you want to call them suspicious skycloths or decoy draperies or falsified flagellations.
I like
what are your top 5?
Falsified flatulations. A whole lot more fun.
It's not flatulations.
I know, but I think it's funnier that way. I know what flagellation is, man. I know how to beat people.
What are your top 5? What are the top 5? So we want everybody in the chat. Just go ahead and tell us what you think. I'm going to just throw an easy one out there. I'm going to go Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor was one of those ones that, it kicked off something really big. There's plenty of them out there. Nicco, what do you got?
What you call it? Oh, does it have to be American made?
No, it can be anywhere.
How America sent back the Jewish people who were trying to come over here after or around World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay, you guys can go back. We don't want your Germans over here, or not Germans, but your Jewish people over here. They went back, and a whole bunch of shit transpired after that as well.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Marcus?
I think mine's probably Lusitania, even though I've since heard that there was most people don't know this. There was a Black Tom. This is actually a Mandela effect. Black Tom explosion. The Germans actually attacked Americans on American soil. People don't know that. But
whatchamacallit was Jim Belushi was right on or was it John Belushi? Which one was it? The one that died. Anyway, on Animal House, where he's like, when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor.
Right. No, they didn't bomb. It was actually New York. Most people, if you look up the Black Tom explosion, it's kind of actually interesting because
it's a Black Tom.
Yeah, it's the name of the island.
He has a cabin, I think.
Right. It's Uncle Tom. but no,
shit. Anyway,
it blew out. Apparently, it was felt in like Pennsylvania. They blew. Yeah, but nobody knows about the shit. Yeah.
Well, so that doesn't count. That one can't be it because
right. But what I'm saying is that that one wasn't a falsified skycloth. But the falsified
you have to use alliteration, man. Like you can't mix the alliteration. Suspicious skycloth.
Suspicious
decoy
skycloth.
drapery. It has to match the alliteration stuff.
The fake shit that the government did to start us into a war.
Yeah.
but the
happenstance hobgoblin. Like that kind of thing.
Happenstance hobgoblin. I like it. But no, the what's funny is that the Lusitania, which is what got us into World War I, wasn't actually what got us into World War I. It was the Black Tom. So I guess my fake ass shit the government did.
So that was that was World War I.
Correct.
Okay. I thought you were saying that happened in conjunction with Pearl Harbor. Okay.
No,
so
with
you're saying-
Lusitania.
I got you. So that was
World War I.
Gotcha. Makes more sense now.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. So continue. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to
that's
go
good.
sideways.
And so Gaddafi, that's a good one too. Yeah, that was he said, I don't want your money anymore. We're gonna start not using US dollars. We're gonna basically do our own financing. And they're like, the hell you are. You are now a terrorist.
Right. Bam. Don't be giving up them damn things.
Yeah, that's right. So, that's a good one. The Titanic is also one that people like to talk about a lot.
Allegedly, wasn't there like bankers and shit?
Yeah, it was supposedly, allegedly, possibly like JP Morgan. Although it was funny one time. This is so hilarious. Somebody was arguing this point, and they were arguing the opposite side that the theory of the conspiratorial nature was false. And this girl said something about JP Morgan Chase. I was like, well, what? You just made up a person that doesn't exist. That merger, that bank merger happened in like 2003 or something like that. Like that. We're talking about in the 19-teens,
right?
An actual JP Morgan, like the dude himself,
right. The owner, the person,
so that like allegedly like the Titanic. So like he got sick and like wasn't on the boat, and then like a bunch of his enemies or competitors or whatever were on the boat. Anyway, that sort of thing. That so he faked being sick. So he wasn't on it.
They didn't centralized banking. Those people didn't want centralized banking opposed to
what happened shortly thereafter with the Federal Reserve Act.
Creation of the century of war. Speaking of the century of war, if you want to learn about how all of the all of the conflicts for the past over 100 years were suspicious skycloths, I suggest you go watch James Corbett's video called A Century of Warfare, because he gets into that.
Excellent. Yes. And so one of the things that you're going to find in there is that the initial Gulf War back in 1990-91, in the lead up to that, there was false testimony before Congress by this little girl who was describing this horrific scene of babies being pulled out of incubators and thrown on the floor by Iraqi soldiers just to like make anybody who might have been on the fence, now it's like, oh, so you're just okay with this. Right. You're okay with these soldiers doing it. And it was a totally made up story. And she worked lying. She was like in bed with, or not in bed, but she was like, her mom and dad were like working with,
I think if I remember correctly, her parents were like ambassadors for
Kuwait.
For Kuwait, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
anyway,
old hat.
What you call it? Weren't we just talking about how somebody made a post saying we apologize for the people that died in these buildings, and we're sorry for all the people that were lost innocently, but now we get riled up over babies. I mean, yeah, as kids, but like,
that was the first Iraq War.
Mm-hmm.
The second Iraq War was after the other thing happened that had nothing to do
that
with
happened
Iraq.
This day.
That had nothing to do with Iraq. Like it's like, well, why are we going to Iraq again?
It's on the way. We're just stopping off.
And so like, even if you don't, there's a I'll just put it this way. There's some images of some people who were dancing as this event was happening.
And we're being careful, folks.
Yeah, that my shirt is locating where this event took place. There's some pictures of people dancing, and those pictures are one piece of evidence. The other pieces of evidence, there was because there was like a white van, and there's some other stuff that we're not going to talk about. But anyway, I heard some other things too. Like that day, I remember And I have a videotape, I have a VHS tape from that day. That's like, I recorded for like, I think it was like 8 hours. It was like a long tape, like a 3-hour regular length tape, maybe 9 hours. And I did it like the EP, like the extended super long play, whatever the hell it is, where you can like, the quality's terrible, or not terrible, but it's worse, but you get more length out of the tape. It records slower. So anyway, one day I'm actually going to sit down and watch that. I have not watched it since that day.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking that'd be interesting to watch.
Yeah, right. Because I remember sitting in the car. I was driving to work. I had like an hour and a half long commute to one of the places that I visit, and I remember I got out to go to the bank, and I was depositing a check. I got paid like, I don't know, like a few days before that. Anyway, going to deposit a check, and everybody's like facing away from me and they're looking at the TV. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then that's when they tell me like what's going on. So I'm like, oh shit. Okay, well, so I finished my business, get back in the car. I stopped listening to, because at that time I'm like, no cell phone, or not. I had a cell phone, but there was no like smartphones, so you weren't getting notifications like this shit happened. And you also, which is funny because like I wonder if there were smartphones, how much stuff would have been seen beforehand and during and all that. You know what I mean? Like it'd be really hard to pull some of the stuff off. But anyway, I digress.
Hey, Nicco, we can't hear you.
Oh yeah. Hello.
Now, yeah, it's very faint. I hear you now.
Oh yeah.
Well, try to say something.
Yeah, no, I was saying, do you honestly think so? Like based off of all the shit that has been put out now, you honestly think?
Yeah, because I think the stuff with all the TikTok videos of the nurses and then like people videoing outside the hospitals and everything, like there was a lot of stuff where people were like, yo, they're lying to us,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. So
okay.
Yeah, and I think also, I mean, there was a lot of crap that came out like right then, even with no smartphones. So can you imagine if people like us were
we're talking about your generation, right?
Right.
Okay, not my generation because we probably still wouldn't know.
So that's funny. So with no phone notifications, and I'm listening to CDs, I'm listening to music while I'm driving. I'm not keeping up with what's going on in real time. So when I get out of the car, I'm completely oblivious. When I get back into the car, I'm like, well, let me turn the radio on and figure out what the hell's going on. Because I'm like about to go to a major manufacturing site. Like, you start thinking, and it's kind of crazy. Like, I think a lot of the same stuff when it first happened, a lot of the reactions were very similar to what 3 years ago happened. When it first happened, it was like, I think it'd be really weird for you to not have some sort of, until you saw the first sign that something was up, to not have some sort of like, holy shit, what's going on reaction,
it's
right?
It's the fuck out of me.
Yeah, like what's good, because then you start thinking like, oh shit, like what is, what the hell's going on over there in China and then Italy and whatever, like that kind of stuff. Similarly, I was like, damn, like, schools, my wife's a teacher, like, is there going to be something with schools? And I'm going into like major manufacturing facilities. Is that me?
It's not me.
That's outside this. That's outside the hotel. Thanks, whoever that is.
It's some big fat shit backing up.
It's that white van that I was talking about.
Yeah,
that's where I was going. They were just reminding me to get to the point. So I'm in my car on my way to this thing, and I'm thinking all these thoughts of like, I'm going to a place that might be a target, right? Like they can blow like this big, real. Like I'm thinking of all this stuff, but I remember very vividly hearing some of the reports about stuff that they were saying that they were seeing on the ground, and I remember somebody talking about seeing vans that they thought may have had bombs or whatever the case may be,
dropping bombs.
No, but here's the crazy part. Like, I heard all that stuff when it was going on, And that was when people were just reporting whatever whatever was coming to them. And then within a few days, the narrative got corralled into this is what happened, and all that other shit that you heard got memory hold and Mandela affected away to where nobody talks about that stuff anymore outside of a handful of people who are very much in the know. And so I'm saying all that to say, like, this is kind of wild. Like when you think of like that narrative creation or narrative like amalgamation, where they can just be like, okay, this part fits, this part fits, this part fits, forget all the rest. Just like every time there's like one of those shootings. What did he say? Stand by, rumble. I don't know what that means.
He's afraid
we're because we were talking about yeah. You're right. My bad. But anyway, the way that shit, where was I going with that? What was I saying?
Memory hold and how they
when there's a shooting. When there's a shooting. No, yeah, when there's a shooting, there's pretty routinely like multiple accomplices until there aren't, and then it's a lone gunman.
Right.
And there's people talking about like they saw somebody leave out of the back door. They saw somebody go through the cafeteria, and then that person disappears. And then
somebody was in the grassy knoll. Oh,
and and it's like right. You know, and so it's like it's very much what's that guy? Ray Epps. There's some Ray Epps vibes.
Right, for sure.
That stuff, you know what I mean? Like it's just crazy.
I still want to, and I think we're past our top 5, but I still want to say that, you know, what of their narrative that you're talking about still exists. What has not been like Nicco was talking about before we got on, what hasn't been debunked? What, you know, all the story is pretty much tore apart. Nothing stands. Of course, they've moved ahead. Oh, that was a long time ago. We don't talk about that shit.
Now we just do, you know, we just do thoughts and prayers every year
on
this day, and
make sure you have a flag.
Moment of silence.
We forget.
We most definitely never forget who did this to us.
Never forget to bow down to the government and their lackeys.
It's so ironic that never forget is the mantra for today, when forgetting is exactly what we were pretty much told to do. Like, it's like, no, that didn't happen. What are you talking about? Let's forget that.
Yeah.
But we're going to make sure that you never remember. That's what it should be. Never remember.
I've never heard of that narrative. Well, maybe I've heard of it, but it's never stuck. Like about how people were on the ground and they've seen vans with particular items in them and things like that. Like, that never really came across my desk as a kid or growing up. Now, granted, I didn't hop into the conspiracy whole until like a little bit later, but like that was never something that was brought up in my generation, because we would have talked about something like that, something along the lines, and we would have like exploited it a little bit more. But that wasn't a topic that was privy to me, I would say.
Yeah, you can often tell when the government is absolutely painting a narrative, because you're right. 2 years later, none of that shit was available. None. When you start seeing stuff that you saw with your own eyes start going away, they're painting a narrative. There's some bullshit afoot.
How did this story change the script when it's supposed to be, you know, you get a quest and now you're telling me the main story is a side quest? That don't make sense.
Right. No shit, that's right. I didn't even think about it that way, but it is like the side quest became the quest,
main story,
right? Because that's what I was gonna say. Like you had the people dancing, and then you had the people who were, you know, who were the they had pilot pins, you know. Anyway, they were all Saudi Arabian. And I think they had like
and suddenly it's Iraq,
one other one who wasn't. Yeah, right. And suddenly it's like Afghanistan and Iraq, and it's just like, oh, and by the way, like we're gonna usher all the Saudi Arabian folks who have, you know, names in high places. We're gonna usher them to safety to get them out of the country to make sure that they're not targeted or anything like that. That everything's okay with them. It was just wild. But I want to. So Hood Up Dutch brought this up. He's talking about Eisenhower's speech on the military-industrial complex, And that brings me to the next thing that I wanted to share with everybody, because when you start thinking about this and you start thinking like, well, why? What would they do? Why would they do this? So there's a couple of I'm going to show you this, and then we're going to go into why what happened the last 3 years happened. Oh, that's a good point. Fire passports are fireproof.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's not go there.
But and don't forget that at the 5-sided building in Washington D.C.
Oh gosh.
that you can have an entire jetliner just disappear into thin air and go up into smoke. Right, it's gone. Right, but you can see the file cabinet open with paper in it.
All right, so let's go on. So why would they do this? That's a great question, Marcus and Nicco. Why would they do this?
Wow.
So let's see. This is Buck Johnson. Shout out to Buck Johnson. He's a guy who I kind of ran into through Vin Armani, aka Cyprian. Buck started following me after the AI debate, and he's got some really good stuff. But it's crazy because like this is just like this guy's name is Nicholas, but his avatar is Orthodox Reflection. So this is just two Orthodox guys talking about somehow they stumbled on like the military industrial complex, and I'm going to let y'all listen.
So if you have,
I'm going to try to let y'all listen. Why is it?
I heard it.
You heard it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Okay, well then I'm going to start it over, and I'll let y'all hear it.
So if you have, we were talking about the three big pharma companies involved. So if all those are majority or have the largest single stake in those happens to be the same company and is capable of coordinating between those, or if you have only 6 media companies, for example, in the entire country, 6 major media conglomerates, and the same 2 companies, Vanguard and BlackRock, are the majority shareholders in each of them. And when I say majority, what I mean is controlling shares. That means they own 8%, 10% stakes. So they're going to be the single largest shareholders, capable of having representation on the board and capable of actually having influence on how the company itself is run. So I'm not saying that they're out there owning, 100% of Target or 100% of one of these companies. That's just not how share ownership works. But in any event, they are in a position to dictate the economic choices to the corporations. They're obviously tied into the United States government because we practically gave Ukraine to BlackRock as an offering.
I want to get into that too as well.
Sure. So they're tied into the CIA. They're tied into a revolving door through all the regulators. Deborah Birx is she heads up the COVID response, and now she's going to be CEO of a pharma company.
Right.
So all of this cross-contamination, cross-control, just huge slush funds of money, huge, unimaginable amounts of money involved. We don't have a free market the way that we think we do.
No.
That's why it seems like so many of these different entities are all singing from the same hymnal in the same church, which coincidentally happens to be owned by, the same asset management
there's like
companies.
another minute left.
It's amazing how that works.
Do y'all want to keep it going?
Yeah, it's purely coincidence.
Yeah, go ahead and let it go for the next minute. Might as well.
And that's why companies will do things that you look at and go, that is completely dumb.
Yes, right.
It's dumb. Why would you ever think to do that? Well, the real people that influence that decision aren't going to be unduly bothered by the fact that a plant closes and puts brewers out of business, because they own all the other beers too.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're in a position to dictate what goes on in our economy. They have undue influence over the regulatory bodies. That's called
when he's talking about beer, think about
give some
Bud Light
examples
too.
of that.
Yeah.
And so that's just kind of where we're at. So nothing ever seems to happen that's good for us, Buck. When is the middle class? Since the 60s,
in a certain way,
what we've seen is an erosion of the middle class, an erosion of working class standards. So why does nothing ever good happen for us?
So
the one I meant to play was one about the military-industrial complex, but I thought I found it, and then I just played it, and it was anyway.
That was fire.
It was too late.
yeah, but what do you go ahead, Nicco?
Nicco, you turn your
you're
mic up or something.
God damn it.
Yeah, you're gonna need to figure that out, man.
No, I muted myself. You hear
He
me?
did it on purpose.
Yeah.
He wouldn't mess up the audio.
The audio.
Yeah,
But
right, right.
damn, now I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
It's all good. No, but some of the things you talked about does apply. I mean, who believes anything these fucking ass clowns say anymore? And you know, when the Chomo class, which that's what I'm calling them from now on, when the Chomo class decides to lie, they lie big, like their buddy with the funny mustache told them to. They lie big, and they repeat that lie until everyone believes it. But at the bottom line is, yeah, in what he's talking about like everything being controlled by the same people. Yes, they are. These are the same people that are doing all this nonsense. And the reason, and people are like, why would they do that? And the reason that they would do that, and they would do things like the date that we're talking about, the reason that they do that is because they're trying to ensure that their kids, because we care about our kids, they care about their kids too. And they're trying to ensure that their kids are the masters of the next generation. And they're doing everything they can to ensure that they retain power and that their power stays in the same group of people that it's stayed in for centuries. So, you know, at the end of the day, that's why they're doing it on a physical level. Now, I would also argue that they're doing these kinds of things like, you know, killing a bunch of New Yorkers, because it's all part of their devotion to whatever you want to call evil.
Something that goes beyond physical. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So
yeah, Nicco, did you remember your train of thought?
No, I was just commenting on how the video was fire, and he was dropping gems. And
for sure.
Not yet. That was...
Yeah, we'll have to put the link to them in our notes. Get that to me.
I wish I had the thing, but basically, so I'll nutshell what they said in the other video that the one that I was trying to play for y'all. But it basically says that like this is going to be an uncomfortable thing for some people to hear, but I want you to really think about it. What the U.S. military's main purpose is at this day and age, and probably for a really long time, I'm guessing like a century or so, give or take, right? It is there for the not exclusive, probably, but because I think there are some people who are, you know, in there for different reasons and everything. But the way that it is used, the tool that is the U.S. military, its main function for the people who control it is to enrich contractors, defense contractors.
Yep.
It is to manufacture and to sell and to deploy expensive weaponry, expensive equipment, expensive vehicles, delivery systems, all these things. And if they have to murder a bunch of people to make it believable, they don't have a problem with that, because like you said, we're talking about some people who are they are not worshiping the same God that we are. I'll put it that way. And that's where, like, when a lot of this stuff happens, that, you know, Mike Pence at one of the debates did his whole thing where he was going on and on. He probably quoted the Bible 15 times in that debate. And it's funny to me.
Thou shalt now not kill didn't come up.
Because no, because I was like, man, like, you can go to as many football games with someone accompanying you and the other female so that nobody gets the wrong impression about you and your marriage. Because I don't think that's a terrible practice to do this thing where you're not alone with another woman that's not your wife, because it removes temptation from the equation and everything. But that does not absolve you from murdering a bunch of people,
right?
And from being a champion for continuing to murder people, because that's, man, you listen to that guy talk about foreign policy, and the hammer is the first tool out of the toolbox
every time.
And it's disgusting. And so people need to really think about that. Like, are we really fighting for our freedom when we go all over the place and bomb people to smithereens, or are we fighting for
less war?
Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, Boeing, and BlackRock, Vanguard, all the companies that you know of that are out there funding all this
and
stuff.
The multi-billionaires that we're not allowed. Notice we have to use all this fancy language today because we can't say a bunch of shit, but don't forget you're free, and they're fighting for freedom, but can't even say some shit on a YouTube cast. But I also want to point out that, though you're right, Chad, and that's absolutely true, but Smedley Butler covered all that shit right after World War I when he said, I spent 33 years and 4 months in active military service, and during that period I spent most of my time as a high-class muscle man for big business and for Wall Street and the bankers. That's a quote. And this is why what most people don't understand is where that was written by Smedley Butler was while they were denying soldiers their pay that they had earned while they were fucking over fighting for these assholes. They were, so, don't give me this is that we defend the veterans. We love no, you don't. All you are interested in doing is murdering them. But
hold on, wait. They also break them. They also break them severely.
Point
I was
taken.
at work yesterday, and I was behind the bar, and there's these two soldiers. I forgot his rank. I think he was E7. He was telling me, what is it? It was me and Tamara behind the bar, and he was drunk as shit, drinking Bud Light, and he was
don't
like,
hate him. It's probably cheap.
It's fitting. It's
hey,
fitting. No?
Hey, how old were you in 2009? I was like, I don't know. I was shorty. And he was like, well, that time I was busting in people's houses, not houses. I was busting in, I don't know where he was at, grabbing them, banging their heads on the table, dragging them out, hearing them scream. And I'm like, oh, you're really fucked up in the head. If like you're going out bragging about going somewhere and like abusing and beating the shit out of somebody because you were trained to do that.
Yeah. The thing is, our government doesn't make warriors. People think that they do. In the traditional sense, warriors fought for justice. They make soldiers. Soldiers are designed to be tools for their oppressors. That's it. That's what they're designed to do. Soldiers are meant to be a tool for the state to kill, and nothing more. A warrior defends what's right. And so I have lots of respect for warriors. I have no respect for soldiers that will take an order, like go bust somebody's house open and kill their kids. I have no respect for that. And I don't care. That's the order you say no to.
Yeah.
Well, remember they had that.
Conscience.
Huh?
Have a fucking conscience. How does it? How's your conscience broken? I mean, your mental, sure, but like right from wrong, or in polarity sense, like right from wrong, like
Well, it's because it's like it's beaten out of you. Like they can, if you torture somebody enough, they'll torture somebody to stop from being tortured.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an awful thing, and that's what they're doing ever since this fantastic date. Ever since the like Nicco said, that ever since the day that they have the number where they put a knee on your neck, because that's what happens when you invite the state into your home. In other words, call the police. Is that you take the potential of them stealing from you, putting their knee on your neck, and throwing you in jail because they happen to see like a joint laying on your table or some shit. Sure. But at the end of the day, these people, have been damaged, and that's what they're trying to make everyone do since they let the magic virus out. That's what they're trying to make us is into psychopaths. They're trying to make us into just like them because they know how to handle that. They don't know how to handle peace.
Did you guys see a couple of weeks ago they had a guy he was standing up at a school board meeting reading one of the books that was like in the library at the school, and it was disgusting, but he's reading it to them because he's like, look, this is like available for our little kids to just pick up off the shelf and read. Right. So you're going to listen to it. The cop went over and like arrested him. Mm-hmm. Like, this is the same people. Look, it's a lot. And that's why I said, like, this might be uncomfortable if you're a big military family or whatever. And to hear some of the stuff that I was saying about the military, but like a lot of the people who are really upset about the drag queen story hour stuff, I don't like that stuff. I keep my kids away from that stuff and keep it moving. But I understand people are like really upset about that stuff, but a lot of the same people who are upset about that stuff also have Back the Blue stickers. Mm-hmm. Well, I wonder if that guy who got arrested for speaking up at the school board meeting about the weirdo shit that they're putting in front of kids, I wonder if he had a Back the Blue sticker, because that's who took him to jail for standing up and expressing himself at a school board meeting so that he could protect his kids. So like, choose carefully. And I wanted to say, like, I got the TV on right now with Monday Night Football lead up on the TV here beside me, and it's all about Damar Hamlin right now. And it's kind of crazy that like the grift, the propaganda have come like full circle to where like they chose this specifically. Like, it's not lost on me that this guy who like effectively died on the field last year. Mm-hmm. Okay. Or, well, it wasn't last year. It was like very early this year. It was like January 1st or 2nd or something like that. It was like New Year's Day after New Year's, something like that. Because I was in Idaho and we were watching it when it happened. Anyway, it's not lost on me that, first of all, they have the Jets playing a home game against another team from New York. The irony is crazy. And then that they said, hey, you know what we should do? We should have the first Monday night game of the season, which is like the biggest Monday night game. We should have that be the game. Oh, no. We should have the Bills play in that game so that Damar Hamlin gets featured. So we can do a whole thing of memorials to him. Everybody in the stands is going to be going crazy. He's going to go out on the field. He's inactive for the game, but it doesn't matter. He's still going to be. They're going to basically just do a whole ceremony for him before the game. So it's going to be this huge, big propaganda thing to kind of move everybody's eyes off of I don't know what, because that's the point. Yeah, is we're constantly being distracted by these little shiny objects so that we can not pay attention to some other stuff that they're trying to pull off with their other hand via sleight of hand. But the biggest thing is, I was telling my wife the other day, like, the biggest distraction with all this stuff is not even the political stuff that we always think it is. It's like, oh, did you see they passed this legislation? No, it's you taking care of your own shit. That's the distraction. That's what it's distracting you from.
Yeah.
Because if you were doing the things that you need to do, a lot of this stuff wouldn't even land on you.
For sure.
You talk to some people in certain circles in certain areas of the country and definitely outside the country, they wouldn't know who Damar Hamlin was. They wouldn't even know what the magic virus was if you didn't tell them.
Right. Somebody in deep Africa ain't gonna have any idea.
So it's just a lot of this stuff we get, like, we're like moths to a flame. We go looking for something to be upset about and to get, hey, my adrenaline's not pumping fast enough. Let me go watch something that'll terrorize me. Let me turn on the news.
Yeah. Yeah, amen. And the thing is, they do that shit all the time too, with all kinds of stuff. Like, I was at and we'll get into this a little bit deeper here in a moment, but I was at an event this weekend, and there was a bunch of people coming together for religious freedom and all of that kind of stuff. And somebody asked me, there was apparently some Christian group did some uplifting thing, bringing people to God, and the Satanic Church like reversed everything, and one, because it was done, on public grounds and all of that. They're like, well, you can do your prayer circle, we can do our prayer circle. And he was like, should we support that? And I said no. And the reason, it doesn't have anything to do with the Satanic, none. The entire purpose of what they're doing is to divide people. The entire purpose of what they're trying to do is to attack another religion using the method of the state. And so, no, I don't agree with using the state to attack religions, regardless. And I think I surprised him, because he thought I was going to be like, it's free speech. And of course, which I do believe they should be able to say all the shit they want, but they shouldn't use my tax dollars to do it. And so yeah, I oppose that. So just as an example of the kind of, like programming, even when it's a positive thing, that they try to get into you, because we're supposed to support free speech. So now we're going to support the Satanic Church, who's doing nothing more than making fun of Christianity.
Right.
I don't think that's right.
Well, just like the what is it? The Sisters of Perpetual Debauchery, or whatever. It's not that. It's what is it? The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. That's what it is. It's these fake nuns that they make a mockery of, like, Catholicism, and like it's all like, it's basically like a big pride group that dresses up as nuns instead, and then does a whole bunch of weirdo stuff with it. But yeah, like it's one thing, you want to do your thing, but like,
right.
I'm not
exactly.
I don't have energy to waste on going and making some fake thing that mocks somebody else's thing that they think is real. Like, I'm just doing my own stuff and keeping it moving. That's why, like, when we did Strong Dad June, we're like, we're not even going to talk about that other stuff. We're just going to do, like, we're being dads, right, and we're going to try to be good dads and husbands and, uncles and brothers and everything. But Marcus, you talked about this event that you had this weekend. Sure. We talked about how we're going to have a lot of different new segments and everything. Might as well go ahead and unveil this one now. One of our new segments is Unexpected Anarchy. So don't you like that nice little fancy graphic that we put together? Where it's it gives you some Mad Max vibes, because that's what everybody thinks anarchy is, but then it has the nice frilly font to let you know that actually anarchy is fun. You do it every day. Sometimes you just don't know that you're doing it. Marcus, tell us about your experience.
So I had a wonderful weekend of bringing people together, as is my want. And I was invited to speak on a forum at a religious collective deal in Indianapolis. It basically, and I'm not trying to link them to what I do, so I'm not going to give you their name. But but at the end of the day, what they were doing was a bunch of different faiths, and we're talking somewhere between 500 and 1,000 different people gathered in a small park in Indianapolis to celebrate diversity and come together as people of God to basically say, we got each other's back. All right. The only police, or the only government presence, there was a police presence there, because, religious people are dangerous. There was a police presence there, and they had to get a permit. But what I watched Muslims, Hindus, Christians, pagans, all kinds of people cooperating and getting along for the purpose of bringing people closer to God, and being able to set aside all of the nonsense. They didn't have government scheduling a bunch of stuff. They managed with, and I'm talking, I mean, there were Sikhs behind us in the booth I was in. There was, you name the religion, they probably were there. And so all of these people managed to not only organize multi-faith religious songs, like singing songs together. My wife, Amber, who's beautiful, was dancing with somebody who is a not Seventh-day Adventist, a Latter-day Saints member, and my wife's pagan. So, so, they're all out there just dancing and having fun together without anybody telling them they had to do it, without having to be organized by a centralized power. They were able to come together voluntarily and cooperate without rules. The only rules they really had was be nice to folks. That's it. And you know what? It got without a hitch, had no problems. We had a great attendance. I got to talk to a bunch of people about God from my perspective and how I feel like that they are. And yes, to Eugene's point, they coexisted. And, people get upset because that coexist is like, lots of liberals like to put it on their car and then not coexist. But what I was wanting to point out is that I witnessed it in a small area and with just 500 to 1,000 people in the middle of the largest city in Indianapolis or in Indiana, and nobody got hurt. Nobody had any problem. There's a homeless guy walking around. I bet he cleaned up. This dude, that's where you wanted to be. It's a bunch of religious people. I need a dinner. Okay,
Christmas season, man. You got
right for sure. So again, this all happened without government intervention. Again, they had to have a permit to be there. But other than that, there really wasn't any government involvement.
It seemed like it happened in spite of government intervention.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there were pigs everywhere.
Okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because we see this kind of stuff all the time, and that's why, like, I think that segment that we decided to introduce into the show, I think is going to be really cool and fun to. So we want everybody, if y'all are paying attention to little instances like that with that mindset, we want you to share with us anything that you see that you encounter, because there's stuff that happens all the time where, for instance, this podcast coming together is anarchy in and of itself. Me, Nicco, and Marcus, we just mutually agreed that we're going to get together and we're going to do this thing on StreamYard. Nobody's holding a gun to anybody's head. Nobody's threatening to disown anybody or anything like that. Nobody's, withholding money from them or threatening to steal money from them or anything like that. This is all just us coming together. And that's what unexpected anarchy is. People think anarchy means chaos and death and destruction and Mad Max and all that good stuff with spiky shoulder pads and Raiders helmets and everything, and motorcycles and swords and murder. No, it's just like people doing stuff with each other because they want to do it.
Right.
And no one's forcing them to, and no one's preventing them from doing it. That's all it is. So I'm looking forward to it. I think there's going to be some good stuff. But yeah, if y'all think of anything like that, go ahead and share it with us. And while you're sharing, share this episode, share it with your friends. Tell them it's a great way to remember this famous day, and it'll help them to remember it in a way that they will never forget. They will never forget it. Yes. Dutch is crazy. Listen, he said it's the first. Yes, that's kind of what everybody thinks it is. Like,
even though the purge was government controlled.
That's why I said it's like it's crazy that he brought that up, because the purge is my favorite example of like faking anarchy. Would you say, Nicco?
That movie is hilarious. Like, that movie basically shows what the government is like. This is what we're doing to y'all. We're not allowing you guys to kill each other for 24 hours, but we'll allow you guys to kill each other for 24 hours. And then we just, hide in our little cozy ivory towers and mind our business.
What I want to see is, there was a comedian that talked about the Purge movies, and he made a really good point. And I think there's an opportunity to make a movie of this. You could call it Purge or The Purge, the day after, or just the day after the Purge or whatever. But he was saying, he did a whole bit on like, it'd be really interesting to see like, everybody just go back to work the next day after the Purge. Like, hey, what happened to Bob from accounting? Oh yeah, me and Jim from shipping, we purged him.
Yeah.
Like, oh damn, oh well, we're gonna miss him. He
Yeah.
always had
God
good
kept
jokes in
stealing
the
my fucking
emails.
salad, so I had to.
Right.
When they said him,
And it's funny too, because you could tell that it comes from a statist point of view, because from anarchists, we have to believe in the goodness of humanity. We just do. It comes with the territory. We have to understand that there's a lot of shitbags out there, but by and large, most people are all right. The statists don't. Statists believe that 90% of us are, we're gonna, if you let us, we just kill each other in the street, which is nonsense. Would you go kill your neighbor if you could? There might be somebody in the audience that says yes. Most of the people.
Here's the crazy part. Here's the crazy part. Listen, dude. All the things that they depict in those movies, like the psychopathic people just going and, picking a house and going and trying to murder everybody in that house. There's people doing that now.
Manson.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about there's people like who just go up and like hit people with bats on the side of the road just for fun.
Right.
So like you think that like the reason that they would do this is because there's not a government to stop. They do it now with no remorse or anything like that.
Like,
and here's the right, and there's no.
We just call them police,
even with the. Well, yeah, there's those two. But I'm saying like just random people. This stuff happens under statism, under a police state, and ramping up the policing and everything is not the answer. Because I would argue, if you look into what the past, what the upbringing, everything that leads to these people having these types of psychotic breaks. And there's another thing that's really interesting. I saw an interview with a guy talking about how like schizophrenics and people with severe mental illness, that it's actually like a demonic suggestion to possession type of phenomenon that's going on with them, because he went to mental hospitals and prisons all across the country, and they all exhibit the same pattern in their hallucinations. Well, how can it be random hallucinations, but they all do the same things, and they're all like uneasy about the same things, and they're all like turned on by the same things? Seems like maybe, just maybe, could it be anyway? Yeah. But anyway, the funny part about that to me is like, I bet if you took a lot of this oppression and all this other stuff that makes people go crazy with the shit that we have to put up with every day, a lot of this stuff would be a lot more easily ameliorated.
Yep.
And instead what we do is we say, no, what we need to do is we need to arm the police like they're busting down doors in Fallujah and doing what Nicco's dude at the bar was telling him. And like, they come from like what Adam House told us, that they come home and the only thing that they are really trained to do well is, in a lot of cases, is to be police.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't get rid of that mentality that they had to have over there, where they think everybody who doesn't look like them is trying to kill them.
Right.
So,
well, this has been a fun one. And I if you were annoyed in any way, because God knows I was, about us having to say stupid shit like,
decoy drapery and
decoy drapery and all that craziness
today that rhymes with the police emergency number,
right?
That kind of stuff. Yeah,
having to call it the magic virus, all that crap. If you hear that and are annoyed, know that we are too.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, you're free. You're free, given to you by
freedom.
Your government. Oh,
I do have to say, while everybody's still here, we are going to introduce another segment as well. We aren't going to do it this week. I need to get ready for it. But we are introducing a whole new segment, and we are excited about it. Every week on Hotep's Been Told You, at least recently, it's been every week. Somebody ends up going to court. Usually Unc and HJ are both taking each other to court, and they're arguing over everything with each other. We're going to start something new here. It is called...
You're muted, Chad.
That's right. Hotep Appeals Court. It took a second for the mute to be undone. But anyway, we are going to start appealing. They call me a Fed, so I'm going to go with it. I'm a federal district court judge. I'm an appellate court judge. All the cases are going to have to go through me, and I'm going to be hearing these cases. I'm going to throw it to some of you guys where, like, I may have to have Nicco, preside in my stead from time to time. I may have to have Marcus preside in my stead time to time. We're all in different jurisdictions. I'll take care of the stuff that's in the South. Nicco, you can handle most of the Midwest. Marcus, you can handle all the redneck
I pretend
stuff.
like I'm in. Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, I don't know.
So
I was just
be a lot
drawing.
of that.
Y'all are too close together. I can't.
I know.
It's hard to make one of y'all to be like in California or something. But anyway, so get ready and look forward to Hotep Appeals Court. It's coming. It is coming, and we're gonna.
And don't forget too to let us know if you have some ideas about Hotep Appeals Court. You don't like how that came down. Hit us up in the DMs on Twitter.
Yeah. We want you to file your appeal where you know it belongs, and then we will take it up, and we will. We have a 3-man court here. We'll take it. We'll come to a vote. Our vote is final. So there's 3 of us. If it's 2-1, either way, that's the final verdict. If it's 3-0, you're really screwed. So just get ready. Get ready.
All right, guys. This has been fun. And don't forget, stay free.
Peace, y'all.